Have you ever wanted to get Kobotoolbox to help you figure out where you should be collecting data?
These are the polygons that I want my data collection to happen inside of. Now we're gonna flip forward and it says, yes, I'm inside the inventory area. Awesome. Save it. And it says you're outside the inventory area, which is awesome. So as you can see, this is a great way to actually use GIS inside your ODK and to have your form actually tell you if you're inside or outside of that polygon. Awesome for helping your data collectors know if they're in the right area to collect data.
So what I'm gonna be using today is a litter brand inventory questionnaire that I've just made up, okay? So first we're gonna jump into QGIS and create the area or the polygon that we want to make sure we're working in, okay? So that would be like if you were working in a specific area or you wanted to do research or data collection in a certain area, you'd start with a polygon, okay? So that's where we'll start. Then we'll bring in the coordinates of that polygon into Excel and use Power Query to kind of clean it up and organize it. Then we'll jump into our XLS form for Kobotoolbox or ODK and create the basic questionnaire. Then we're gonna go out and collect some data along those roads and see what the ODK Collect app tells us what to do if we collect data in the wrong area. I want to give a shout out to Jan Schenk, Chrissy Roberts, and Gareth Bester for their hours of work put into creating different versions of so-called geofencing for ODK and for generously providing these examples online. So I'll put links in the description below if you want to go and take a look at their detailed documentation and examples. You can download the XLS Form questionnaire I've used in this tutorial in the link below this video if you want to try this out for yourself, or if you want to modify the questionnaire for your own context. So go ahead and download that.
Great, so we are popping into QGIS first. And what you can see is I have actually created my own layer and I've called it the Litter Inventory Polygons layer. And I've already put polygons around 2 roads, okay? And I'm gonna put one more polygon around this road, okay? So these are the polygons that I want my data collection to happen inside of, okay? So let's just quickly create one more polygon here. I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, and so when I have finished that polygon, then I've clicked off it and it's going to ask me for an ID number. So this is my 3rd polygon. I'm going to give it an ID of 3 and I'm going to give it a road name. And I'm going to click OK. And it will then create that polygon for me. So I've created kind of 3 road polygons, and this is where I want the data to be collected from. So the next thing I'm gonna do is export this. So I'm gonna right click here and I'm gonna export it. I'm gonna say save features as, and we're going to export it as a CSV. Okay, and we will just say okay. Now, you can see it's kind of added another one here. Great, and if I open that CSV up in my Excel, you can just very quickly see that it's created, the first column is kind of this pair of lat long pairs. So you can see you have a number here and then a space and then another number and then a comma and another number, a space and another number and a comma. So each 2 numbers, they're separated by a space. Okay, so those are our long lat long numbers, and then there's a comma and then there's another pair. Each pair of those numbers is a corner or a vertex along that polygon. And so what it's going to do is it's going to tell us what all of the corners of that polygon are. We're going to use that in our XLS form to check, is the data collection happening within the polygon or outside of it? So that's kind of the first thing that we're going to do. So what you want to do in Excel, you're going to want to go to data, and then we're going to import our data from that same file. So we're going to say get data from a file, and we're going to pull in from a CSV file. So it's actually the CSV file that I've already opened, but that's fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on transform data. Okay, so it's going to import this. We're going to transform it, which is going to open the Power Query. And here is where we're going to have some fun, kind of rearranging this information so that we can bring it into back into Excel, and then it will go into our XLS form. Okay, so now we have our Power Query open. And what we're going to do is start to transform this data into a CSV that we can use with our XLS form. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to come to this first column, well-known text, and we're going to get rid of some of these, kind of the first and end bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to say replace values. And you see here at the beginning, there is this polygon space 2 brackets. I'm going to replace that with nothing and just click OK. So we'll do that. And then at the very end of that, I assume there's 2 brackets as well. So I'm going to replace the 2 end brackets with nothing and say OK. So it's replaced those values. So now we just have kind of the longitude, latitude pairs, and they are separated by the commas. So now what we're going to do is we're going to right click and say split this column by a delimiter, and that delimiter is going to be a comma. Okay, so we're going to split this column into pairs, okay, into the long lat pairs. So we're going to say okay, and what you'll see here is that now we have a lot of different columns, and it's just split this based on the number of long lat pairs, which is the number of vertices of each polygon. So you can see for this middle polygon, it's quite a big one. We have 33 different vertices, okay? Now, because we have kind of that well-known text dot 33. And then for this other one, we have 16 vertices. And for the short one or smallest one, we have 7 vertices. Great. So we have 3 very different size polygons, but this is what we want. Now, once you have done that, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to grab the ID. So that was the road ID and the road name. We're going to right click and we're going to say unpivot the other columns. And what this is going to do is it's just going to take all those columns and then put them actually into just a single row. Okay, so now we have all of the pairs of long lat in a single column, and the title name for each of those. So we had, the different title names. That's now going into this attribute column. Okay, so now we have all of the long lat pairs of all the vertices of all the roads in a single column. Okay, one thing we're now going to do is split that column one more time by that space, so we get the longitude and latitude in separate columns. Okay, so we're going to split it by the delimiter using a space and say OK. And now we have our longitude and our latitude. So what I'm going to say is this is P underscore longitude. And this one I'm going to say P underscore latitude. Okay. And then what I'm going to see here is I'm going to split this column by the dot. Okay. That should actually already have caught that up. Dot. And what this is then is this is the N, or like the number of the corner, the number of the vertice. Okay, so we're just going to call that N, and we're actually going to delete this well-known text. We don't need that as a column. So now we have an ID, now we have an N, we have a road name, longitude, and latitude. And so this is looking really good. What we're now going to do is we're actually going to create a unique ID key for each of the vertices. Okay, so we know that we have 1 to 33, but then the second polygon, this starts over at 1 and goes up to 16, 17. Oh, sorry, here we have 1 to 7, 1 to 33, and then 1 to 16. Great. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and say add form, transform, add a column, custom column, and we're going to say this is our ID underscore key, and we want to bring in everything. Now, when we bring this in, we're going to bring it in as a string or as text. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these numbers into text. We just say number.toText, and we want to start with our ID, so our road ID. And then we're going to put and an underscore, and then another and sign. And we're going to do the same thing again, number.toText, okay? And bring in our vertex, or our number of the vertex, okay? Close that off and say okay. And what it's going to do is it's just going to add one more column, and now we have a unique ID key for each corner of all of the different polygons, okay? So now that we have that, the next thing we want to do is know the max number of vertices in each polygon, okay? So we need to know that. So for that, we're going to group by the ID, okay? So we're going to right click there on ID, and we're going to say group by. We're going to go to advanced, and we want to actually do the number of corners. We want to find the max of the n column, okay? And then we also want to bring in all of the columns and all of the rows for everything else. It's not an aggregation, but you'll see it will just bring those in. So we just want to we don't want to lose all the other data, okay? So when we click OK, it's now grouped by that ID, by that road ID, 1, 2, and 3. And it's actually then given us the max number of n corners, 7, 33, and 16. And in here, if I just click to the side of that text in the little white bit, you can see the columns that are included in that table. Okay, so now I'm going to expand all these columns. So what I'm going to do is, we already have ID in the table, so I'm going to click that off. We want to bring in our road name. We don't need the N anymore because we already have that caught in our ID key. We want to bring in the ID key P latitude and P longitude, so the polygon lat longs. Then I'm going to click off use original column as prefix, and I'm going to say OK. Okay, and now we have quite an interesting table where we have our ID key, we have our road ID number, we have the maximum number of corners or vertices in each polygon, we have our English road name, and I'm actually going to change this all to lowercase and no spaces. Okay, so all of our titles or column names now look fine with that. Longitude, latitude, and ID key. And you know what? I don't even think we need the ID anymore. So let's just remove that. We now have these 5 columns, and that is basically all we need. So once this is done, this is all cleaned up. This is kind of what it should look like, and it's ready now to be brought into our XLS form. So when you're done that, just come up to home, and we're just going to say close and load, and it's going to bring it into our Excel. And now we're ready to kind of take the next step, jump into our XLS form. So let's do that next. All right, so we're back on screen in Excel. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do up here. I'll click on File and Save As. And I'm going to save this first of all as an Excel workbook, litter inventory, polygons with Power Query. Okay, so because I'm saving it as an Excel workbook, I won't lose my Power Query and I won't lose my work. Okay, so I'll save that there. Then I'm going to save it a second time. And this time I'm just going to save it as a CSV file, which is what we'll use with our XLS form. Just remove where it says with Power Query. And I'm going to rename this preload polygon. Okay, so we'll save that. So now I have a CSV file and I've saved my Power Query in an Excel workbook. Next, we're just jumping right into the XLS form. So this is the XLS form. I will leave all of these files so you can open them up, play with them, see what I've done on your own computer. So you can go and download this. The link is in the description below the video. But all you want to know is that as we start the XLS form, it's going to ask for the GPS point. Okay, so we're going to take a geo point. And then what it's going to do is it's going to calculate the latitude and longitude from that geo point, and it's going to run it through this little calculation repeat group, okay? So it's gonna loop through all of those vertices, okay? All of the 3 polygons and all the vertices that we included there. And it's gonna check, is our GPS point that we just took associated with this data collection inside a polygon or outside of the polygon? And we're gonna tell it what polygon we're in. So we're gonna tell it that we think we are in S road or W road or R road, okay? That's the area. We're gonna take the GPS and it will say you're inside the polygon or outside of the polygon, okay? And then it will carry on and we'll just ask a few other questions about the data collection. Okay, so yes, in this very little tiny example, we're just doing a litter inventory. In general, this is going to be useful for data collecting in any kind of area that you're doing. So once we have got that, we're gonna then upload into the Kobotoolbox. Okay, so let's go and do that. Okay, so once you've uploaded the project inside, or the XLS form inside of Kobotoolbox, the next thing we're going to do is pop over into Settings, Media, and you're gonna also upload that CSV file we just created called the preload polygon. We're going to open that up, and you'll see it comes down here into the attached files, preloadpolygon.csv. We're gonna go back to the form, and we're now going to deploy the form. Now, if you'd already deployed your form and then you uploaded the CSV file, you need to redeploy that. So once we have deployed that, we're going to open it and we're going to test it out in Enketo, okay? So inside Enketo, we're just going to enter the date of our data collection. And we're going to say, let's go into W road. Okay, so let's go find this road here. If we jump back into our map, so that was our road, this one over here. This one is W road with ID 2, and this one is S road. What we're going to do is click here inside of W road. Okay, now the form has then looped through that repeat group, and it says, yep, you're inside the inventory area. Good job, okay? And this is where the magic happens and where you can kind of see, my data collector could do this or that. And if they're over on this road here, if they kind of got it wrong, it says, you're outside the inventory area. So this is great. Your form can start to tell people, yes, you're collecting data in the right place. No, you're collecting data in the wrong place. So hopefully you can kind of see how this is going to be useful in your program, especially if you do geographically based data collection, where you have inventory areas or where you need data being collected from a certain geographical location. This is probably best with relatively small areas, so you don't want kind of an entire country or an entire state as a polygon. That will kind of necessitate a little bit of kind of additional calculation, just to make sure that these latitude and longitude points aren't kind of distorted, because the Earth is round, so the bigger your area is, the more off your vertices will be in kind of the flat projection of your area. But then you can just carry on filling in this data, and we will just quickly do this, and at the end, just make sure you're kind of within that right area, inside the inventory area, and click submit. So that is how you create a GPS fence or a GPS boundary in your XLS form and feed back to your creators. I'll definitely leave lots of links in the description below. Let's now go outside and check this out in real life. All right, so we are out on the road in the beautiful blue sky, sunny day, and we are looking at some waste. So what you can do is you can see my screen. I'm just gonna click on that to open it. And we are going to select the date. I'm going to be on S Road, and I'm going to then take my GPS. So you can see here, I've got great accuracy, but let's say 14 meters. Let's try it. Okay, now we're gonna flip forward and it says, yes, I'm inside the inventory area. Awesome. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click here. I've just got one piece of waste here. I'm gonna take a picture of it. Now what we're gonna do is head on over there and see what happens when I'm not in the area. So let's go. Okay, so I now should be outside of the area. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill that form again. Select the date. I'm gonna say I'm on S Road again. I'm gonna start that geo point. Wait for a bit of accuracy here. Save it. And it says you're outside the inventory area, which is awesome. So as you can see, this is a great way to actually use GIS inside your ODK and to have your form actually tell you if you're inside or outside of that polygon. Awesome for helping your data collectors know if they're in the right area to collect data. Hopefully this is really helpful. If it is, then I'd love for you to give it a like, subscribe, and I'd love to see you around the channel. I'd also love to know, how are you using this? It's awesome to know how different people are kind of using these tutorials in their day-to-day work. Till next time, bye.